What up, creepers? How the heck are you guys today? So this vlog means so much to me, and this is probably going to be one of my favorite vlogs that I've ever done, besides Matt Groening's childhood home, the creator of The Simpsons. And what I mean by that is anything that's Portland, especially that has to do with art or cartooning. I love it. So everybody knows here on The Creeper that I love The Simpsons, but that's not who I'm talking about today. I'm talking about another cartoonist from Portland. Actually, he was born in the Dalles, Oregon, so technically still a Portland native. And the gentleman who I'm talking to you guys about is Mr. John Callahan. Now, a lot of people say, well, who the heck is Mr. John Callahan? John Callahan was not only a personal friend of mine, but a very awesome and creative guy. He is most known for his little cartoon drawings, but he was also a musician and a great artist overall. So if you guys haven't heard, the new news is Mr. Callahan actually has a movie made about his life, and the title of the movie is Don't Worry, They Won't Catch Me, or Don't Worry, He Won't Get Too Far on Foot, which the title references one of his earlier comics. They were kind of Gary Farside-ish, one drawing with a really funny either wording or title to it. And that's what always stuck with me, is he was able to capture the comical moment with just one little image. But the movie is actually premiering here in Portland. It opened last night, and our regular publications out here called the Willamette Week actually just did a full feature cover story of Mr. Callahan himself, and they labeled it Role of a Lifetime, which I thought was kind of funny because it's a pun, obviously, of his wheelchair. John was involved in a car accident at a young age. He was paralyzed from the legs down, which made him a quadriplegic. And how he drew the cartoons was he would put the pen in one hand and with the other hand kind of drag his hand across the paper and create his little cartoons and his characters. And I was able to actually talk with John plenty of times, because where I'm standing right now is his old stomping grounds, and this is Northwest Portland. I am at the Legacy Good Samaritan Hospital, and John lived in this area when in about 2001 I worked for a company called Coffee People, which is just 2 blocks up, and was able to talk with John on many occasions and share little jokes. And I'll tell you guys a funny story that he told me one time. But let's check out this memorial, homage-esque little deal parkway here called the Jester's Court, and this is located at the Good Samaritan Hospital here in Northwest Portland. And if you guys can see right off the bat, they put John's name in bold prints here, so you guys can, obviously know who this garden is for. Not to mention, it's in a beautiful spot right now that gets a lot of sun and all these beautiful trees around, which I thought was really cool, is how they put some of his work here actually in these little sections. And I was told that these were the ones that they felt that were somewhat comfortable with putting, because his work was known to be very kind of politically incorrect or dark, if you will. So here we've got the devil, or Satan, if you will, poking somebody in the back into sheer hell. And the quote is, "Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse." So John was really good about touching on funny subjects and definitely making some humor out of it, which I always thought was so cool. And then here's one with obviously Billy the Kid at like a gun draw, and "Don't be a fool, Billy." And then if you pan down, they've got just so many renditions of his art. Here's one of my favorites. He's at the Baco Bits Ranch, and he's feeding the pigs grenades. I totally remember these. But yeah, they were kind of harder for them to choose which comics they wanted to post out here, because a lot of his work was considered kind of dark or whatever. So here's Chuck and Sylvia work to broaden the base of the relationship, and it looks like they both really like donuts, so. Here's this guy. People like you are a real inspiration to me. Now, whenever I see John's work, it brings back so many memories because I remember him sitting at the coffee shop and rolling up and down Northwest 21st and 23rd. And John had like really bright red, like almost tangerine orange colored hair. So when you saw him coming, you definitely knew it was him. And what I liked about his art was the fact that he could, you know, kind of make fun of things that were considered to be, you know, hard times. And I think a lot of the inspiration for these drawings was from just kind of sitting at the coffee shops and just people watching. I remember him telling me stories about how most of his inspiration was from just watching people, you know what I'm saying? So, self-portrait, that is so funny. Here's one. This is a feminist bookstore. There's no humor section. And you can tell that people that wrote for the show Portlandia had referenced some of his comics. And another thing I wanted to tell you guys was with the movie being released back in 2004, Robin Williams was actually originally supposed to play John, but with his untimely suicide, it didn't work. So they got another actor to play John. But I'm pretty sure that from what I've seen, John would be extremely happy with how everything turned out. So these are just so cool, you guys, and I'm so happy and fortunate to have met John. And one time we were standing in front of the coffee people up in Northwest, and a gentleman walked by and John said, "Do you see how big that guy's butt was?" And he used a different word actually, and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "They're building a Starbucks in there next." And then about 3 weeks later, I opened up the inside of the Willamette Week, which featured his cartoons, and sure enough, John drew a little drawing of that. So I thought that was super funny. And so these go on and on. Here we go. Human leg blow-up toy. These are so good. Oh, instead of draw, thaw. That's hilarious. So these wrap all the way around here, you guys. And so they just did such a great rendition and such a great, let's see, Richard delusioned with women tries a pet and the crows or the parrot's telling him we need to talk. That's hilarious. Okay, here we go. Awesome. They actually have his picture and like a little memorial for him. So February 15th, 1951. And wow, it looks like his birthday's coming up on the 24th, you guys. So let's zoom up here. He wasn't particularly handsome, he wasn't a model student, he wasn't very polite, and he certainly couldn't draw a straight line. But boy, could this guy push people's buttons. That's so cool. And if you guys want, you can pause the video and read more about John's life. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stay on this little beaten path right here, which I believe John would have cruised up and down himself in his wheelchair. And we're gonna walk about, maybe 2 blocks down. I'll give you guys one more shot at these cool little drawings here. But yeah, John would have cruised right up here, and the movie theater that now is showing his movie, wow, look at this little beautiful little garden. Is just literally like 2 blocks up, which is really cool because his name's on the marquee, and they also have a sign, or the actual physical movie poster in the box. So let's just check out Northwest Portland and kind of take the old path that John would take. And another funny story is one night I was working real late at the coffee shop, and we closed real late at night at about 10 o'clock. And John was in doing his little cartoons, and he came up to me as I was stacking the chairs, and he says to me, I'd like to see you stack this chair. And I chuckled, but that was the thing, is John was able to tell jokes like that because obviously him being quadriplegic. And tell me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if he was paraplegic or quadriplegic. I'm guessing that he was quadriplegic because in about 2004 he actually got a cartoon strip published. I believe it was by Nickelodeon Studios. I could be wrong, so tell me in the comment section. But he started a cartoon called Quads, which was about you know, children in wheelchairs. And at the time there wasn't really any cartoons that touched on that, so I thought that was really cool, or you know, had any characters that were in wheelchairs. Now if you look like South Park and a whole bunch of other commercials and cartoons, if you will, have them on their channels as like main characters. But let's cross over here and we're gonna walk up to this marquee so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And I just think that it's so ironic and just so interesting that years later, I mean, John told me that the movie was going to be made at some point, and he had talked to me about other projects that he had hoped that were going to come to fruition. But unfortunately, with him dying, he actually passed away due to some sort of breathing problem in his lungs. So he was never able to see the script being picked up, but it had been in the mix a bunch of times with different actors and stuff wanting to portray him. But he wanted Robin Williams, and Robin Williams actually was fond of his comics. So I thought that was really cool. I think Robin Williams actually reached out to John to ask him to play his part in the movie. So let's go up here a ways, and it looks like they're doing a little bit of construction up here and stuff, but I'm going to take you to the actual movie cinema that John would have rolled past himself and show you guys how cool it is and how ironic it is that, you know, the neighborhood that he grew up in and drew his little characters, and basically people watched and got I'm pretty sure most of his inspirations were from the people of Portland and the different things that he saw. Actually, this was one of the spots that he would hang out frequently. This is a coffee time, and John would be known to sit out here and draw his little squiggly line characters. He actually showed me one time on a napkin how he drew the characters, and what he would do is he would put the pen in one hand and then kind of sort of drag the other hand with the pen to make it, you know, draw the little characters and stuff. So a lot of people misconstrued and thought that he drew them with putting the pen in his mouth, but he was actually able to use his hand. So all right, you guys, so here it is, and I just think that is so ironic that it's literally like